Tyrese Maxey had a heck of a day yesterday, Mitch. I tell you, a heck of a day. All power to Tyrese Maxey.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment right. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on and get started. Well, Mitch, it's all about Tyrese Maxey. There's a lot of other news that goes on. But first of all, I want to let y'all know my name is Keith Pompey. I'm getting a little started soon because I'm excited about talking about Maxey. But I'm Keith Pompey. This is my right-hand man, John Mitchell. And Mitch, what I have to say is Tyrese Maxey had a hell of a day. He started out with early in the morning talking about, hey, you know what? I'm getting ready to play today. I'm finally going to play after missing 3 games. Then the next step was before going to the game, he found out he made the All-Star team. So he's going to make his first All-Star team. And then that night, Joel Embiid didn't play. A couple other players didn't play. So guess what? He had to step up and carry the offensive load. A career high 51 points, right? So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about that. We got to talk about Joel Embiid. He has an injury. Right now we also got to talk about the Sixers being fined. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot going on. But look, Mitch, 51 points against the Utah Jazz. Great game by Tyrese.
Yeah, man. I mean, he comes off of the injury and, an ankle injury. So you're suspecting that he's not going to have his explosiveness. But lo and behold, he starts out, scores Sixers' first 10 points of the game, drops 18 in the first quarter and 32 by halftime. And you could see that he was headed towards another huge night. I mean, 32 at halftime is a huge night, although in today's NBA, it's not as what it used to be 20 years ago. But yeah, Tyrese showed up and he showed out, man. It was good to see. I think the Joel Embiid news is probably bringing some people down, and also guys recognize they've got to step up now. Tyrese is an all-star. He found that out earlier in the day, and part of being an all-star is you've got to carry a heavier load, and he was more than carried his load last night.
Yeah, he carried a lot. I mean, it was pretty good. I like the all-around thing, but the thing is he attacked early. I was a little concerned a little bit in the fourth quarter, right? I was concerned because I'm here, I'm watching the game. And to me, it was one of those things where do y'all remember that Tyrese Maxey is in the game? Because he only had one shot attempt, and and they got late. And then what happens is, as players do, they step up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the good thing about this is, Mitch, from what he did, a good thing about his performance, with him scoring 50 points, there's only 3 guys, and that's a trivia question for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 3 pairs of teammates that have 2 multi-50-point scorers in NBA history, and I want to see if you get it. If you get it.
Let me see. I'm going to say Chamberlain.
No, wrong. Hey, I'll tell you what though. I'm gonna give you a trivia question. 2 of these teammates were Chamberlain's. 2 of these guys were Chamberlain's teammates, and Chamberlain had to help him out because they could never win a big game.
Okay. Weston Baylor.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So Elgin Baylor scored 50 in one season. He scored 50 points 5 times, right? 5 times. And then Jerry West did it twice. Now, who's the other set of teammates? This happened recently. I'm talking about 2 seasons ago.
I was gonna say Luka and perhaps Kyrie.
Kyrie and somebody else.
Okay, Kyrie and KD.
Yep. KD scored 3 times and Kyrie did it twice.
Okay.
2 seasons ago. That's crazy how that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, Joel Embiid has done it 3 times. Maxey's done it twice. So it's only happened in the history of the NBA 3 times that a pair of teammates have done that. Now here's something else. Maxey had 50 points and 0 turnovers.
And 1 assist.
And yeah, that was the crazy part. And 2 rebounds.
Right.
That was the crazy part. I was like, yo, because you know how you're watching the game and you look down at the stats and you're like, hey, bro, ain't getting nobody.
Right.
He going for self.
Going for broke.
He going for broke. Like, yo, I gotta get some mines. But nah, it was fun to watch, man. Because it got to a point where there were some Sixers fans there, but it also got to a point that a lot of the people there were like, wow. Yeah. So then it was crazy. It was crazy because then I'm overhearing the conversation, right? And one of the fans, it was a little boy, was saying, Dang, how we losing to them? And they're missing 3 of their starters.
Right.
And then the one lady and his mom said, yeah, but the one starter that's not missing is Tyrese Maxey. He's the second best on the team. And so it was like, hey, you got to give that respect. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I think that was a good performance for him. I also think Tobias Harris having 28 points did
Absolutely.
well. Mo Bamba was Mr. I want all that smoke last night. Mo Bamba was getting up in people's faces the whole 9. So, it was crazy. Jaden Springer played quality defense, the same with Daniel House Jr. Mm-hmm. Pat Bev hit some pretty good shots. Kelly Oubre Jr. has been struggling mightily from 3. In the fourth quarter, he went 3 for 4 for 3. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like although Maxey had the big game, all these guys were stepping up. And to me, you know what? That says a lot. When you got all these guys stepping up, that says a lot about the team. You know what I mean? That they're doing stuff, that says a lot. But you know what, Mitch? I really want to talk about Joel Embiid's injury, right? I want to talk about that. This game was big, but moving forward, are the Sixers going to be able to continue to play this way? It's going to be tough for them, right? So what I want to do is when we get back talking about FanDuel, I want to talk about Joel Embiid and talk about his injury because, some news came out. It was kind of vague, but we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets, right? So FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which player will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up today, right? That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So, Mitch, I got the move. We got the news yesterday of, Joel Embiid's injury. He's going to be out at least until Saturday. they play Saturday, at least throughout the weekend until they figure it out. Initially I was thinking like, okay, well, maybe it's not like a meniscus tear because that's what he had, lateral meniscus
Right.
injury. That's all they're saying is injury. But when you talk to Nick Nurse, I talked to him, it didn't seem like real optimistic. I mean, like as optimistic as I thought. It seemed like something's wrong with it, and they're basically consulting with him and others to see what's the best course of action to fix it. And they're not coming out and saying what it is
As usual.
until they decide. I talked about it yesterday where I felt like, you know what, get them right. But the question is, if it's really bad, how much is that going to impact them? And they're not saying much, but at the same time, it's just something to be alarmed about.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you hear meniscus, and you're hearing it's out in the stratosphere, in the atmosphere now that there's a potential tear there.
Yeah,
you're hearing that there's a potential tear there. So, I mean, it's obviously a means for concern. I mean, they say they're going to have a plan, work on their plan, and finalize a plan over the weekend. But if he's, I mean, what are you looking at? Possibly 30 days, possibly. I mean, when he had the meniscus tear a few years ago, back in February, and it ended his season. So you're hoping for the best, but are you hoping against hope? And again, you see the potential of this team. Without him in the lineup, you see Tyrese come back and drop 50. You see Tobias drop 28. But I mean, obviously, every year with Joel, and it's not his fault. I mean, if that guy, if Kuminga falls on anybody's leg in that position, and at first I was thinking maybe it might be a hyperextension the way it looked, and was hoping more so for that. But it's hey man, it's going to be the 76ers and their fan base will be on pins and needles, waiting to find out, what's the plan and getting more news as we move into next week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody's going to be, fired up, excited, what have you.
And
anxious,
yeah,
scared.
yeah,
like any other way you want to use word you want to use. The thing is, we just got to figure out what it is, and the problem is the Sixers, they improved which is, I guess, is good, but they improved to 4-9, and the reason why I'm saying it's good is because it could have easily been 3-10, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they got to win yesterday, and Maxey played well. It's just that they got to continue now. They're going to have some other enforcements coming in soon. DeAnthony Melton and guys like that. But it's also close to the trade deadline, so there's a lot going on right now with this team, and we'll see it. But there's a lot going on. But you kind of feel bad for Joel Embiid. I'm talking to players yesterday, and they're just saying like how it was a shame how everybody attacked him, saying this and that, and now they realize that it's serious. But the people who are attacking them aren't coming out and saying I was wrong. So
right. Of course not. Of course not.
Of course not. There's a lot going on. A lot of things that happen. But yeah, you're right. Nobody's going to say anything about that. It's like, why would they, right? Why would they? So
Keith, I mean, and I said this earlier. Following they should have shut him down for the whole road trip. I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight now, but you could see he wasn't himself. You could see, unlike the clowns in Denver who were saying he's scared of Jokic, he pushed himself through, to play. And I think the team was just like, and that's, hence the fine for the late notification. But, we have been talking about, the MVP is irrelevant. What do you do to preserve this guy to get him to the playoffs healthy? And now we don't know if he will be available to this team to get to the playoffs healthy. And this was kudos to him for wanting to play, but you can see he hasn't been himself lately with the knee stuff. And with this team's experience with the multitude of injuries that he's had, this road trip, and it's a tight ride. It's a tightrope, right? He's the best player in the league this year, but he's also the most injury-prone superstar in the league right now, more so than Kawhi. And now they're at a crucial point in the season where it's is he going to be available? Did we do the wrong thing by playing him? Should we have rested him on this road trip? You can't be influenced by numbers thrown out there by the league, like mandatory numbers to win postseason accolades. You really can't get involved in that when you got a guy who's your present and hopefully your future with hundreds of millions of dollars invested in him. You just got to tune the knuckleheads and the clowns in Denver. You got to tune them out, and do what's best for the team and for the player when he's not,
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Well, let's talk about after we get back from PrizePicks. Let's talk about what 76ers need to do in your eyes for them to get over this hump, because you're right. They lost a big one. I mean, and for however long he's going to be out. But we got to talk about what you think what's best, but what's the best course of action for them. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in, right? With the basketball season here, and it's been here for a minute, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from a special league, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus receptions. You want to play along some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Go to prizepicks.com, locked on NBA, and use the code locked on NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. So, Mitch, what are some of the things you think the Sixers need to do in order for them to get over this hump?
Man, they again, they're held hostage by Joel's health. But I know we've talked about possibly acquiring if Andre Drummond is actually still available in the trade market. That's the guy I see as almost as a necessity right now. I mean, granted, we saw him as the perfect backup for Joel, but now they've got an all-star, an additional all-star. You got Tobias Harris, who continues to play well recently in games without Joel Embiid. But this team is going to, granted, Mo Bamba was sticking his chest out last night, and he played, it was challenging people. But you just not Mo Bamba and Paul Reed in the middle is not going to get it. It's not going to get them where they need to be. So I think right now it's almost imperative that they make a deal, at least for a big man. You've got to find out and wait and see what you have with Joel, what you have in Joel's injury. But they're going to need a legitimate big body in there because they become small. They're forced to play a lot of small ball, and they're going to have to make a deal. That's just my belief. Got to add something. Otherwise, they're going to continue. They're 4-9 without Joel.
Yeah.
I think Tyrese Maxey's numbers are going to continue to rise again now. I'm pretty optimistic that Tobias will continue to make contributions, and they are getting a little healthier with Melton coming back eventually. But there's a really there's an irreplaceable hole in the middle, and you got to do something to stop the bleed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You got to do something to stop the bleeding. The only thing is, but how much you're going to give up. The crazy part is that, it is a small sample size, but when all those guys play, now Joel is the main factor though. But when they all play, they're undefeated.
Yeah,
they're undefeated. But again, this is, but they're 4-9 without Joel Embiid. That's the problem. That's the thing. And they won last night, and they shocked. But they're 4-9 without him. Now that tells you a lot about Maxey. Tobias was playing well, but think about it. Maxey had to score 51 points for them to win this game.
Yeah, he's not going to be Will Chamberlain every night. That's what you got to have every night.
Yeah. So
against a mediocre team.
Yeah, I'm right. You're right. But look, man, and I want to thank y'all for listening, and we apologize for the quick podcast today. It's crazy. Like, this is how stuff happens, and and when you're on the beat, you gotta go. I gotta
run. You gotta run.
I got a flight to take. But I want to thank y'all for listening. We want y'all to have a blessed day. We want y'all to know that you can get this podcast wherever you could get your podcast at, and it's free and available, right? So just do that. Click on that Liberty Bell, and we'll be good. And we'll talk to y'all Monday morning, recapping Saturday night's game against the Brooklyn Nets. Peace.
People think covering the NBA is all pop.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast.